Children, just now we learned light reaction. Now let's go for another one, that is dark reaction. Another one that is called as dark reaction, right? So here, what are the end products of light reaction? ATP and NADPH. Yes or no? Right. Now let's see the dark reaction. Children, the other name for the dark reaction is, yes, light independent reaction. Light independent reaction. Light independent reaction. Light dependent reaction is light reaction. Light independent reaction is dark reaction. Or this is also called as biosynthetic phase. Okay, biosynthetic phase. Right. So here, now let's see the dark reaction. So this reaction does not require the presence of light, and extension of the phases after daytime may occur in some parts. This is also called as dark reaction. By the term dark reaction doesn't mean that it occurs when it is dark at night. It only means these reactions do not depend on light. See children, please don't be mistaken. Dark reaction doesn't mean that it occurs during night. Simply these reactions are not dependent on light. Okay, it can occur dark reaction can occur even in daytime or even night time. Okay, that doesn't mean it occurs only in the night time. Light reaction occurs only in the daytime. Not like that, children. Simply the meaning dark reaction means it doesn't depend on light, whereas light reaction has to depend on light. But here dark reaction doesn't depend on light. Right children, here see next one. Now here this is also called as carbon fixation. This is also called as carbon fixation. See how many names are there. Carbon fixation, and light reaction was discovered by Robert Hale. That is why that is called as Hale's reaction. Here it is discovered by Melvin Kelvin. Melvin Kelvin. Okay, it is discovered by Melvin Kelvin. Right. So here in the dark phase, the hydrogen combines with carbon dioxide by utilizing ATP. In the dark phase, the hydrogen, in the dark phase, here the hydrogen combines with carbon dioxide. Hydrogen combines with carbon dioxide. In the dark reaction, hydrogen combines with carbon dioxide, okay, by utilizing ATP energy and produce glucose. So anyway, the ATP that is produced in the light reaction are utilized here to produce C6H12O6. This is glucose. So here our final target is to production of glucose only. So this is a dark reaction which is called as light independent reaction or biosynthetic phase or carbon fixation discovered by Melvin Kelvin. Here what happens children? It's very easy. The hydrogen gets combined with carbon dioxide utilizing the ATP which are produced in the light reaction, okay, to form glucose. This synthesis occurs in a number of steps using certain special intermediate compounds and enzymes. Finally, glucose may be converted to starch. Okay, so this is not a single step, children. So many enzymatic reactions will take place here. Okay, so many steps will be there, children. So many intermediate compounds are also formed. This is not a single reaction which appears on the board. Understand? So many reactions will be there. So here this glucose is finally converted to starch. Glucose is finally converted to starch. So this is our target. So here plants are capable of surviving under a range of situations from very hot, dry and brightly light conditions to wet, humid and dimly lighted conditions. See children, this you have learned in your 9th class, adaptations. Yes or no? Plant can survive even in a dry, light, hot conditions to wet, humid and dimly light conditions. That means plants can survive anywhere. The requirement of light and other factors varies from one plant to another plant, but the light requirement differs from one plant to another plant. So we have learned light reaction and dark reaction. In light reaction, what takes place? Photolysis will take place. Photolysis means breaking of water molecule. Who breaks the water molecule, children? Yes, who breaks that? Chlorophyll. How the chlorophyll will get the power? By receiving the photons. So by receiving the photons, chlorophyll will get the power to break the water molecule, their oxygen is released and the electrons are accepted by NADP to produce NADPH and ATP. These are the end products. Whereas let's go for, and that was discovered by Robert Hill, that is why that is called as Hill's reaction. Let's go for dark reaction, which is called as light independent reaction. That doesn't mean it occurs in the night. Simply dark reaction means that won't depend on light. Okay, right. It is discovered by Melvin Kelvin. It is also called a biosynthetic phase. What happens here? The hydrogen gets combined with the carbon dioxide. Here the carbon is fixed. That is why it is called carbon fixation. Okay, the hydrogen gets combined with carbon dioxide, uses the ATP to form glucose, and this glucose finally converted to starch. So this is the mechanism of photosynthesis. Okay. Children, so far we have seen the first type of nutrition, that is autotrophic nutrition. Okay. In the autotrophic nutrition, we have learned how plants prepare their own food material themselves. Why we have seen so many things like about the oxygen, about carbon dioxide, about sunlight, about chlorophyll, the 4 factors. Now let's see the another type of nutrition, which is heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition. Okay. Children, I told you clearly that autotrophs are the organisms which can prepare their own food material themselves, whereas heterotrophs cannot. Yes. So we have seen the plants by utilizing so many factors like carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, chlorophyll, they prepare their own food material themselves. Whereas heterotrophs are not like that. They are not having the capacity to prepare their own food material themselves. In turn, they depend on others. Right. So let us see the other type of nutrition, which is heterotrophic nutrition. Right. So this heterotrophic nutrition is present in so many organisms. So how do organisms obtain their nutrition? Depending on the type and availability of food, organisms can adapt to a range of strategies of food intake and use. So depending on the type and availability of food, depending on the type and availability, depending on the type and availability of food. So depends upon the type of the food. Children, if you see, all the organisms cannot take same type of food material. Yes or no? If you see the examples of rat, cat, buffalo, goat and human beings, and if you go for the lower organisms like amoeba, paramecium, and so many organisms are there. So all the organisms, no doubt they depend on others, okay, but the type of the food and the availability of food matters here. So here some organisms break the food material outside the body and absorb it. Some organisms breaks the food material outside the body. Some organisms breaks the food material inside the body. Okay, so this is the difference. Some organisms breaks the food material outside itself and absorb it. Okay, for example, if you see, for example, molds, yeast, mushroom, etc., which are called as saprophytes. So molds, yeast, mushroom. Okay, molds, yeast, mushrooms, these organisms are called saprophytes. These organisms are called saprophytes. These organisms breaks the food material outside the body and absorb it. Some others like some other organisms derive nutrition from plants or animals without killing them. This type of parasitic strategy is used by variety of organisms like cuscuta, lice, leeches, tapeworms. So here next one is parasitic. Cuscuta, lice, leeches, tapeworms. What these organisms will do? These organisms depend on others. For examples, already you have seen molds, yeast, mushroom, etc., which are called saprophytes. Some other organisms derive nutrition from plants or animals without killing them. This type of parasitic nutritive strategy is used by variety of organisms like Cuscuta, lice, leeches, tapeworms. Others can take whole material, break it down inside their bodies. What can be taken and broken down depends upon the body design and its function. So, three types, children. For example, if you take human beings or the animals like cow, ox, goat, buffalo, these organisms, what they will do? They take the whole part and they break inside. For example, if you eat chicken, you won't break outside and you observe it. You will break inside only with the help of the teeth. Okay, so many digestive parts are there that you will learn later. So that means here three types. One is outside, saprophytes like molds, yeast, mushroom. They break the food material outside the body and absorb it. Okay, and some other organisms derive nutrition from plants or animals without killing them. This type of parasitic nutritive strategy is seen in Cuscuta, lice, leeches, tapeworm. So they totally depend, but without killing them, they take what they want. Okay, so lice are you know lice very well. They depend on, they live in the hair. Okay, they take what they want, but we won't be killed. Yes or no? Right. So such a type of nutrition is parasitic nutrition. So outside the body and break, absorb it. Inside the body, some organisms break, and parasitic nutritive strategy. Since the food and the way it is obtained differs, the digestive system is also different. Children, you can't expect the same type of digestive system in ant like human beings. Why? Because depending upon the size of the organisms and the body's design and its function, so the digestion is different in different animals. In single-celled organisms like amoeba, if you take amoeba, so see children, this is amoeba. Amoeba is not having a proper shape. Okay, it is a unicellular organism. In single-celled organisms like amoeba, the food may be taken by the entire surface, but as the complexity of the organism increases, different parts become specialized. So this is the example. So this is a single-celled organism, only one cell is present. With the help of one cell only, it performs several functions. Okay, so here in single-celled organisms like amoeba, okay, the food may be taken by the entire surface, whereas the complexity of the body increases, right, from unicellular organisms to multicellular organisms. Okay, different parts become specialized to carry out this digestion. Okay, so this is how the digestion is different in different organisms. Now we will learn the digestion, how the amoeba will obtain the food and how the digestion takes place, and paramecium, how it takes the food and how the digestion will takes place. Okay. Children, now see the two diagrams which are on the board. Children, do you know this? In the 8th class you have learned. This is amoeba, which is a unicellular organism, and it is very easy to draw the amoeba. Why? Because it is not having particular shape. It is a shapeless organism. You can draw like any shape. Okay. But here if you will observe, this is unicellular containing only single cell. So contains a nucleus. Okay, and this is the nucleus. This is, you can observe various parts like pseudopodia. Pseudo means false. False food. Food particle is allowing inside and food vacuole is forming here. This is how the nutrition in amoeba diagram is there, and paramecium, which is in the shape of slipper, oral groove, formation of food vacuole, anal pore, and how it takes the food you can observe in the diagram. Let's see here. For example, amoeba takes in use takes in food using temporary finger-like extension, which is called as pseudopodia. The temporary finger-like extension. So amoeba takes in food by using temporary finger-like extension. This temporary finger-like extension is called pseudopodia. Okay, of the cell surface which fuses over the food particle forming food vacuole. So this pseudopodia, with the help of the pseudopodia, it takes the food, and this is the food, children. Okay, so see how the pseudopodia will be trapping the food particle, and after this you can observe, you can see, children. This is after the food entering inside, this will be closed and the vacuole will be found, which is called food vacuole, Complex substances are broken down into simple ones inside the food vacuole. So inside the, like in our digestive system, the complex means very hard substances are broken down into the simple ones. Here also, inside the food vacuole, the complex substances are broken down into the simple ones, then diffuses into cytoplasm. Okay, the remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. So here anyway, you can observe the cytoplasm, children. Okay, this is cytoplasm. So okay, this is called as cytoplasm. See, cytoplasm. So once again I will explain. Amoeba is a unicellular organism. Okay, with the help of pseudopodia, it takes the food material, and so how this pseudopodia trapping the food particle. After trapping, this will be closed and forming a food vacuole. The complex substances are broken down into simple ones in the food vacuole. The undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. This is how that nutrition in amoeba takes place. Now let's go for the paramecium. Paramecium is in the shape of slipper, which is also unicellular organism but has a definite shape. The difference between amoeba and paramecium, amoeba is not having definite shape, whereas paramecium is having definite shape. Food is taken at a specific spot. Here the food is taken at a specific spot. Food is moved to the spot by the movement of cilia. So this hair-like structure is called cilia. So with the help of the cilia, the food is moved to the specific spot. Okay, with the help of cilia, which covers the entire surface of the cell, where the food is ingested in cytostome. The food is ingested. So the food is ingested in cytostome. So once again I repeat the both. See, both are unicellular organisms, that means single cellular organisms, no doubt in that. And here how the nutrition will take place in amoeba. See, amoeba is a unicellular organism, takes in food using temporary finger-like extension, which is called pseudopodia of the cell surface, where here forming the food vacuole. So here, with the help of pseudopodia, it takes the food particle, and how the food particles will be trapped, see, forming the food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, the complex substances are broken into simple ones. That means digestion will take place. Anyway, if the digestion takes place, the waste material will come. That is undigested material. Undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. This is paramecium, which is also a unicellular organism, have definite shape. Okay. Right, food is taken at a specific spot and food is moved to the spot by the movement of cilia, which covers the entire surface of the cell where the food is ingested, which is in with cytostome. Okay. Children, now see the parasitic nutrition. Already we have came across this word, that is parasite. So the example is dodder. So dodder is a plant, belongs to the genus Cuscuta. So now dodder belongs to genus. In 9th class you have learnt about the genus, species, family, kingdom, like that. Okay, it belongs to genus Cuscuta. Like the scientific name of man is Homo sapiens. Homo is the generic name, genus name. Sapiens is the specific name or species name. So every organism will be having two names. Okay, one is generic name, second one is specific name. That is why that is called binomial nomenclature. So this binomial nomenclature is given by Carolus Linnaeus. Here also this Cuscuta, genus Cuscuta, daughter plant belongs to genus Cuscuta. Okay, so this is a generic name. Cuscuta is a leafless. It is a leafless, children. That means leaves are absent. Twining. It is a leafless twining. Twining means like this, children, like this spiral. This is a twining. Okay, leafless twining parasitic plant belongs to morning glory family, Convolvulaceae. So what is the family here? Morning glory family. Okay, it belongs to morning glory family. Morning glory family. So the family name is Convolvulaceae. Okay, Convolvulaceae. So once again I repeat, the parasitic nutrition in Cuscuta, daughter plant is an example, belongs to the genus Cuscuta. It is a leafless twining, okay, belongs to the morning glory family, which is Convolvulaceae. Okay, so it belongs to Convolvulaceae. The genus contains about 170 twining species that are distributed throughout the world in temperate and tropical regions. So total how many species are there? 170 twining species. So here this genus contains how many species? Okay, so this genus contains 170 twining species all over the world. They are distributed even in temperate and tropical regions. The daughter plant contains no chlorophyll. One more important point, it contains no chlorophyll. That means chlorophyll is absent. So leaves are not there, chlorophyll is absent. Okay, leaves are not there, chlorophyll absent. But one is the one species, that is Cuscuta reflexa, has been found to have a little amount of chlorophyll, hence it absorbs food through Astoria. Okay, here see, Cuscuta reflexa. Cuscuta reflexa. So this is very important. So you know that this daughter plant is not having, chlorophyll. Yes or no? But one species is having chlorophyll. What is that? Cuscuta reflexa. Keep it in mind. This is very important. Cuscuta reflexa is the species which is having little amount of chlorophyll. It is believed that it absorbs the food through Haustoria. 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 What is that? Haustoria. So this Haustoria, through this Haustoria, the food is absorbed. The food is absorbed. So Haustoria is a very, very important one, where this Cuscuta takes the food material, Now let us see how this Haustoria helps and how the daughter will be depending on other plant. Okay. So far we have seen the daughter belongs to genus Cuscuta. What is the family, children? Morning glory family, Convolvulaceae. Does it contain leaves? No, it is a leafless. What about chlorophyll? No chlorophyll. But Cuscuta reflexa is the species which contains chlorophyll. Yes or no? Right. Now let us see about the Haustoria. See, Haustoria are the root-like structures. Haustoria are the root-like structures, children. Haustoria are the root-like structures. These are not roots actually, these are root-like structures like this. It will be. Okay. Then what this Haustoria will do? Yes, root-like structures that penetrate the tissue of the whole plant and may even kill it. Okay. So this is a daughter and this is host plant. Okay, this is host plant. This is host plant. And what they will do, this Haustoria? Yes, they penetrate into the tissues of the host plant. This Haustoria penetrate into the tissues of the host plant and may even kill the host plant. What is host? See children, the lice are present in our head. Lice is the parasite, we are the host. Like that, daughter is the parasite, but it has to depend on other one, no? That is the host. Okay, so here the slender string-like stem. The slender string-like stem. Yes, what? We have seen this is a leafless, no doubt in that. Yes, chlorophyll is absent, no doubt in that. But Cuscuta reflexa contains chlorophyll. What about the stem? Okay, the slender, see this is the stem is very slender. Slender means very, very, very thin. Okay, the slender string-like. The slender string-like stem of the daughter may be yellow, orange, pink or brown in color. So what is the color here? Yellow, orange, pink or brown in color. So this is about the stem. The stem is very string-like, okay, and very thin. And what is the color? Yellow, orange, pink or brown in color. Its leaves are reduced to minute scales. Children, have you seen the opuntia and cactus? So opuntia and cactus are the desert plants. Do you observe the leaves there? No, the leaves are not present. But if you are going to touch that, it may prick you with the help of the thorns or the scales. Here also, the leaves are not there. So it is a leafless, you have learned. It is a leafless. The leaves are absent. Then leaves are modified to scales. Modified to scales. The leaves are reduced to scales. What about the flowers? Its flowers in nodule-like cluster are made up of tiny yellow or white bell-like petals. So here the flowers are like this, children. The nodule-like clusters. Okay, these are the flowers. Okay, the flowers are nodule-like clusters. Nodule-like clusters. And these are yellow or white bell-like petals. So petal is a part of the plant or the flower which attracts the insects. You know that very well. So once again I repeat. Here daughter belongs to genus Cuscuta. What is the family, children? Morning glory family. Yes. How many twining species are present? 170. That they are distributed all over the world in temperate and tropical regions of the world. And what about the leaf? Yes, it is a leafless. What about the chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is absent, but Cuscuta reflexa contains chlorophyll. What about the, yes, stem? Stem is a slender string-like one. That may be yellow, orange, pink or brown in color. The leaves are reduced to minute scales. Its flowers, nodule-like clusters, that may be yellow or white in color. What about the seed? The daughter seed germinates. Germinate means, yes sir, the sprout will come. Okay, the daughter seed germinates forming an anchoring root. So this is called as anchoring root. So for example, if you see the seed, see this is called as germination. Okay, so the daughter seed also germinates forming the anchoring root. Anchoring means fixing to the soil, forming the anchoring root and the sense of the stem in a, sense of the slender stem in a spiral fashion. So here this fashion is called as spiral fashion. You know climbers very well, children. The climbers climb, the creepers creep. Here also the seed germinates forming the root and the stem will be in a slender, the slender stem will be in a spiral fashion. Okay, and it reaches the host plant. So this reaches the host plant. This reaches the host plant. It then twines around the host plant, and forms a haustoria. So this is the host plant. This is the host plant, and here seed germinates forming the anchoring root, and the slender stems goes in a spiral fashion, and it twines the host plant. Twining means like this, children. Twines the host plant, forming the haustoria. Haustoria is a structure where the parasitic plant depends on the host plant with the help of the haustoria only, and through this haustoria it takes whatever it wants, like water, like food or whatever. Okay, so water conducting tissue is xylem and food conducting tissue is phloem. So the water is drawn through the xylem and the food is drawn through the phloem. This is how the daughter will be depending on other plant. See, daughter seed germinates and forms anchoring root, and the slender stems, okay, sends up in a spiral fashion, and when it attacks the host plant, it forms the hostoria, and through this hostoria, okay, with the help of this hostoria which penetrates through it, water is drawn through. Drawn means takes through the hostoria from the host plant, xylem, and food through phloem. So this is about the parasitic nutrition in daughter plant which belongs to genus Cuscuta. Okay. Children, now see, in heterotrophic nutrition, nutrition in human beings, and we know that we take the food material and break down inside our body. Okay, right. So human digestive system is very complex in nature. So many parts are involved. If you can see, mouth, salivary glands, esophagus, stomach, pancreas, liver, large intestine, small intestine, rectum, anus. Mouth, esophagus, stomach, next one liver, pancreas, large intestine, small intestine, rectum and anus. Different parts are involved. So many parts are involved here and perform different functions by using various digestive juices and enzymes. So many digestive juices will be there and so many enzymes will be there, okay, performs different functions. Let us observe the figure of digestive system, okay. So the alimentary canal is basically a long tube. This is called as alimentary canal. This tube from mouth to anus is called as alimentary canal. So this alimentary canal is basically a long tube extending from the mouth to the anus. Extending from the mouth to the anus. This is the digestive system is made up of a tube only. Okay, in some places the tube is broad, in some places the tube is narrow. Okay, so right from mouth to the anus, so many parts are there. So this tube, the digestive system is called, the alimentary canal. What is this, children? Alimentary canal. Okay, so the alimentary canal is a long tube extending from mouth and ends with anus. We can see this tube has different parts. Various regions are specialized to perform different functions. So many regions are there, they perform different functions. Now the question is, what happens to the food once it enters our body? Yes, children. If you will eat the food, what happens to the food when it enters to the body? So automatically when it enters into our body, when you take inside the mouth, we will chew, yes or no? And after chewing, the food slowly goes down into the stomach through the esophagus and pharynx. Okay. So, and inside the stomach, once again the food is crushed or grinded with the help of different digestive juices. So, this is the answer. We eat varieties on various types of food which passes through the same digestive tract. We eat fruits, we eat vegetables, we eat non-veg, we eat pulses, we eat rice, we eat biscuits. So many types of food, we eat liquid, we consume liquids like that. Yes or no? Right. So it is to be converted to substance small enough to be utilized by our body. The large complex molecules are broken down into the simple ones. So complex molecules are broken down into simple ones is called, what is this, children? Digestion is called digestion. Okay, so the digested food finally goes to the blood and blood carries wherever they are required. So this need various processes that can be studied, right? So once again I repeat, the figure or the diagram which appears on the board represents digestive system. This digestive system consists of various parts, from mouth to anus. Okay, there is a tube, that tube is called alimentary canal. We eat different types of food, yes or no? The food will be broken down in various parts, yes or no? Okay, so many digestive juices are, so many digestive enzymes are involved here. Now let us see how this food is passed from mouth to anus and various steps that takes place in the body. Okay. Yeah, children, now the diagram which is on the board represents location of some salivary glands. So this is one salivary gland, this is another, this is another. 3 pairs of salivary glands are present. And this is salivary duct, this is the palate. Palate separate oral cavity from nasal cavity, and this is uvula tongue, and this is epiglottis. Once again I repeat, 3 pairs of salivary glands, salivary duct, palate which separates the mouth cavity from the nasal cavity, and uvula is tongue and epiglottis, right. So we know that various types of food, okay, which passes through our gut or alimentary canal. Now let's see the passage of food through alimentary canal or gut. First, the alimentary canal is also called as gut, children. Food is cut and crushed. We eat different types of food material, like we eat biscuits, yes or no? We eat chocolates, we eat chicken, we eat mutton, okay? And here see our teeth is very hard so that it can break the bone also, yes or no? We break the bone of the chicken, we break the bone of the mutton also, but it is somewhat hard. So whatever it might be, we eat the food and it will be cut and crushed by our teeth in the mouth and mixed with the saliva. Okay, so 3 things are present in the mouth, children. First one is teeth, second one is tongue, and third one is salivary glands. Already we have seen the salivary glands here, and tongue. And anyway, teeth is there. How many teeth will be present in the adult human being, children? Yes, 32. 32 teeth will be present. And these teeth are of different shapes and different sizes. Yes or no? And there are mainly 4 types of teeth. What are the 4 types of teeth? Here see, the 4 types of teeth are incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. Okay, so these are the 4 types of teeth. So the food is crushed. Anyway, we will learn about this type of teeth, all these things in detail in chapter number 7. Food is cut and crushed by our teeth in the mouth and mixed with saliva to make it wet and slippery lump called as the bolus. So anyway, we will chew with the help of the teeth and we will make the food material wet with the help of the moistness that comes from the salivary glands, which is called saliva. So with the help of saliva, we will make it as a slippery lump, that is the food can be, see children, after eating, you just spit it out and you can see the difference when you take the food inside the mouth and after spitting it. So that is called as bolus. So bolus is nothing but, okay, the partially crushed food in the mouth with the help of saliva and the teeth. Okay, the partially crushed food, not completely, the partially crushed food in the mouth with the help of saliva and the teeth. Okay, we get a slippery lump, okay, slippery mass. And this process is called as mastication, the chewing process. Okay, so the food after entry into our mouth, we will chew with the help of the teeth and we will make it wet and slippery lump or mass. Okay, that is called bolus. This entire process is called mastication. Children. Okay, so by chewing and we are making wet and we are making the food into slippery lump. So this entire process is called mastication, and that food is called, after chewing in the mouth, that is called as bolus. The particle is called bolus. The process is called mastication. This bolus is suitable to pass through the next part, which is called as esophagus. So see children, esophagus is a part. So here already you have seen in the digestive system. So after mouth, the next part is esophagus. Mouth is pharynx, esophagus. Okay, so this esophagus is a, you can see here, it is a small tube like one. The esophagus, see this is the mouth, okay, pharynx, and enters into this part is called as esophagus. This part is called as esophagus. Okay, the food enters into the esophagus, the bolus, which is very slippery, which is very moist, slips down through the esophagus, and in the esophagus, no digestion will take place. No crushing will be there. No enzymes are there. Simply it passes. It is a pipe-like structure, it passes. But here the wave-like movements will be present, children. Those wave-like movements are called as peristatic movements, right? So that you will learn in chapter number 7. That you will learn in chapter number 7. So here the saliva is secreted by 3 pairs of salivary glands in the mouth. So this saliva is secreted by 3 pairs of salivary glands. Saliva mainly contains an enzyme. Now the enzymes are starting, children. So in the mouth, one enzyme is present in the saliva, that is called as salivary amylase. Salivary amylase, which is also called as ptyalin. Which is also called as ptyalin. So anyway, we will chew with the help of teeth and we will make the food wet with the help of saliva. Not only that, in the mouth the digestion also takes place with the help of an enzyme released by salivary glands. So that enzyme is salivary amylase. What this amylase will do? It converts the starch into maltose and dextrins. That means complex carbohydrates are broken down into simple ones. So other name for salivary amylase is ptyalin, which helps in the breakdown of complex carbohydrates into simple ones. This process of breakdown of complex substances into the simple substances with the help of enzymes and their absorption into the body is called digestion. Now we will learn what about the digestive juices and digestive enzymes and various parts. Okay.